Hi everyone, welcome to the monthly NCRMA podcast. I'm Jimmy Young in the host chair, and the chairman of the board of the NCRMA, Rocco Petrilli, is on the guest side of things. Rocco, great to see you once
Jimmy,
again.
always a pleasure to be with one of our top service partners, Pro Cannabis Media.
Appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit about how NCRMA is doing, and as far as the membership goes, let's start with that.
Well, we're at this point we're upwards of 2,300 members. In terms of deliverables to our membership, and something I think we'll talk a little bit more about today, we've done two things since we last met and spoke. One is that we met our self-imposed deadline of having our first recommended insurance product to the market and available to our members by the 1st of July of this year. And secondly is we are in the process now of expanding our appointed broker program, which will ensure our members that they're dealing with agents who have both a vested interest in cannabis as well as the knowledge, expertise, and penchant for customer service to give them the type of care that they demand.
Terrific. And I also understand that there's now an expanded definition of risk management. And I bet the chairman of the board knows exactly what that expanded definition is all about.
Yeah, we took cannabis being unique in many ways, and particularly not that cannabis is unique, because cannabis has been around
thousands of years.
But the particular uniqueness is both the personality type, cognitive behavioral type, and overall business outlook type of the cannabis entrepreneur is somewhat different than people who have traditionally entered new and emerging markets. For that reason, we've taken the definition of risk management, which has traditionally, particularly from an insurance standpoint, been somewhat narrow in terms of actual, what we'll call tangible risk of which you insure your company against. Mm-hmm. And we've expanded that, particularly in the areas of the service partners that we're developing. Risk is much greater than your building burning down. Risk is much greater than a potential lawsuit because somebody slips and falls on your property. In our minds, risk is really further defined, or this expanded definition, as you talked about, is further defined by what potential forces are out there that could derail our members on their path to business success. And so we've defined those, and to answer those, we have brought in service partners who provide mitigation services against those expanded types of risk. And we're also looking at, now that we're developing our internal training process and products for NCRMA members, we're looking at expansion in those areas as well.
Gotcha. So you mentioned a couple of things off the top. Let's talk about these, the appointed broker offering.
Before we get to that.
Let me. Before we get to that,
I have to have an opportunity to give you a plug. A good example of this expanded view or definition of risk management is our service partnership with Pro Cannabis Media.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that.
Traditional people in the risk management industry may say, what does Pro Cannabis Media have to do with risk mitigation? But we considered for a long time the availability of highly integral, highly believable, and highly accurate news for our clients and for our association members as being a risk, because there's a lot of information out there, and not all of it is correct. So our partnership with Pro Cannabis Media gives our members
a voice,
and also a conduit to information that we know that if it comes off of your broadcast, or if it comes particularly out of your mouth, they can believe it.
I hope so. And there is a concern amongst traditional media as far as how they portray the cannabis industry. And it is one of the reasons why we formed Pro Cannabis Media, is because we want to make sure that we are giving the industry a voice. We want them to tell their own stories, how NCRMA gets to tell your own story with our production gear, if you will. And of course, we're turning that right over to the members as well if they would like to take advantage of my video production expertise, hosting of a podcast, or whatever talent they may seem that they need to tap into with me. I am more than willing to make myself available, as is my company, and of course we're offering a discount to members for our services as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we do with our service partnerships, and I'm sure the expanding service partnerships will be a topic that we'll talk about in a future podcast. But the bottom line is, and this has to do with I'll call traditional news broadcasting in general. I don't want your opinion. I just want the facts. Let me make up my own mind.